Hey class, it's Amberly coming to you to talk to you about the final project. And I'm sorry, I expected to get this out to you by yesterday. However, I have been wrapped up with my air conditioning unit at my home went out. So I have been without air conditioning for a couple of days. And that is why you are not seeing me on the screencast. But let's talk final project. So the final project is going to be one that the basic premise of it all is for you to utilize the units 1 through 9. So some of you that haven't been keeping up with the reading, it's surprise. It's time for you to make sure that you have read the information, that you have looked at the PowerPoints, that you can talk theater to me now because we are in our final exam. And in the final exam is basically going to use every one of those units for you to be able to display your knowledge and understanding of the premises that were taught to you. And also to get to be creative while you do it. So instead of a test where you would short answer essays and try to remember all the little details, you get to be creative. You get to use your notes in a way because you're able to look back at all the units to get the information that you need in order to make this final all that you would like to and more. And at the same time, you get to be creative, which is a good celebration of the art of theater. So when we look at it, that's basically what it says here. And there it's broken down into these 3 final project parts. You could make just one PowerPoint. That's what most people have done, is work in the same PowerPoint and then submit the first part to me, the story, submit the second part to me, which includes the first part. So it's the first and second part. And then when they complete, they submit the whole entire thing to me with the 1, 2, 3. But you can do it any which way that makes you happy. If you would like to wait until the last day and turn them all in because you need that extra time, then you can, because it is a final exam and I will allow that. I do think that for your creative process, it's good for you to start with the story. And while we're doing that, let's take a look at the story for just a second. So I'll go back to the final project here and look at part 1. So the story. So we're looking at the plot. 1 slide for description. Further details could also be included in this first slide. The conflict, dramatic actions, subplots, and originality and relevance. And then the title of the story and its meaning, and also the time period could all go together on 1 slide. The setting could also be on that initial slide. I would say a separate slide for important cultural facts, a separate slide for the theme, and then socioeconomics and religion and spirituality could all be on 1 slide if you'd like, or separate. And then dramatic genre will be your last slide. And I have a student, Noah, who did this, and I had it queued up. So his was what goes around comes around, description and the plot, more further details on a second slide, the conflict, this is the third slide, the dramatic actions, very detailed with the arrows, subplots, originality and relevance, the title of the story, the time period, and he has like a little his program, the setting on a separate slide, important cultural facts, the theme on its own slide, spirituality and religion, socioeconomic status, all together, and then the last slide is dramatic genres. So when y'all are looking for that magical number of slides, it really just depends. I like it coupled with pictures to see what's in your head, what were you thinking. So we want to crystallize the visuals of this at the same time while you're giving me information. So if you looked at his, there wasn't a ton of information that he's writing, and all of this is coming from your head because I do the project in the 16-week version where you're working off of a play. And while you're more than welcome to do that and go through the elements of the plot of the play and the story elements of a play that's already existing, one that you didn't critique but one that you did for the final, you're welcome to shoot me an email and we can have a conversation about that. But I found that students in the summer prefer not to have to read another 80 to 100 page play and then do the analysis for it and then do this creative process. So it allows you some flexibility and freedom in terms of what you want to do. So we'll go back and we'll look at step 2, which the part 2, I'm not going to show you an example because it's really pretty simple in the way I'm going to explain it. The overall concept You'll give me a slide that had the adjectives on it, a slide with color palettes, possibly 2 slides, maybe 3, if you have more things that you want to show me and how you would use it. The dramatic styles, you would show me 2 dramatic styles that you might use for this. So you might have 2 slides there. The theatrical space, you'll research to see, do you want to do this in proscenium or thrust, or would you like to do like in like revolving, like your stage revolves, or in the round. So it's up to you what kind of theatrical space, but you'll look on Google and you'll find pictures of the perfect space for your play to be produced in, and you'll put those in. And there could be 1 to 2 slides with multiple pictures of them, and you would just talk about where that theater is, like title it, and talk about your decision and why you would have those needs for a proscenium versus a thrust, because some plays need to be done in thrust and others couldn't be done in the round. So look at the constraints that you've set up by your story. And then the casting, while you're building your story, it's good for you to think about this casting part, and you're going to write 2 to 3 sentences, pick at least 5 cast members. You could have a slide per each one. So it could be a slide with the title of the character they're playing, and say you wanted Brad Pitt or Denzel is your favorite actor and you want to put Denzel, and he's going to counter Will Smith, and those will be your 2 leads, and you would talk about why you chose them, why they fit this particular character's part, and then you would have 3 supporting characters, like maybe a female that's there that you really like, and you want to make sure that this particular person gets put into the show, and you'll show us a picture of that actor or actress, and then you'll describe and follow the instructions here below. So the last part up here we're going to go to is the third, and the third is more complex. So the third area is the design portion, and this is where you have to go back and look at these PowerPoints and understand principles of design, elements of design. This will be the most artistic and visual component of your entire project. So if it's sound, then you'll be showing me through written explanation, and pictures perhaps, and then you'll be providing YouTube links or some kind of file you can embed the files into your PowerPoint so that I can hear the sound design, your sound effects, and the music that you've chosen to use. If you're a lighting designer, then you'll have different concepts for that. Just like costumes, if some of you have more affinity for clothing and what your characters will wear and how you design this. If you make your play futuristic, then you can have all kinds of fun with the costume design for it. Or the set. There are tons of set designs online in Google that you can look and see, and you would just post different pictures to show me this is what you would be using for this scene, and this is what we would need for Act 2, and go through the process in that fashion. And Noah did provide for us. He wanted to be a sound designer. He chose to use Justin Timberlake, and I would recommend that you vary your choices so that we're not all from one album or all from one particular artist, but here were links so that we could watch. Here was the explanation for when it's going to happen and what it's supposed to do, and then some possible scene pictures, and then here's the music to go along with it. Here's the makeup of what will happen in Act 1 and what will happen in Act 2, and then there is more explanation of the choices, and when there's songs that are embedded as an underscoring piece, when the lovers finally kiss, then there is this song will play and it will be a magical moment. So he did those type of explanations there for the sound. So there were 8 pages to this sound design. So I should never see just one slide. So I would say at a minimum you need 5. I don't think you could combo, especially the first slide. I would say the first slides need to be somewhere between 10 and 14 for part 1. And then part 2, it could possibly be done in less than 10, somewhere between 5 to 8. And then here, the design just depends on what you pick, depending upon your designer. So that is going to dictate a lot of those things for us. So I'm glad that we had an opportunity to look at this more closely together. And I hope that this has helped you in some fashion. I'm looking at the the student preview, so I'm looking at the screens that you see, and then you'll submit each part here under the submissions tab. Everything that you'd be looking at is here in your projects. And you want to make sure that you have any extra credit into me also that you're doing. Make sure you look at the calendar dates for those things. And just know we're under a really tight schedule for the final, so I will not be able to accept any late work for the final. So when we get to the final next week, please don't be angry if life gets in the way. Plan ahead for that, because I have to turn in my grades the following day. So I've pushed it as far back as I can in terms of when the final date of our process is due. And then you need that last day. You have until 10 p.m. Keep in mind it's not 11:59, but till 10 p.m. to add your comments to the discussion board as you look through everyone's work. So thank you guys so much for all the work you've done this semester. And I know it's been quick and a lot to do, but you've done great. And I thank you for all your work and look forward to your finals.